So, if you read a lot of books, then maybe you're like me and you might go into a bookshop. Not to buy anything, of course. Like, there's two types of visits to a bookshop. The first type is just to browse. And the time that I'm currently talking about is just to browse. You know, those times when you're going into a bookshop, you're currently reading a book, but you're like, well, it's a nice pastime as a book lover to go into a bookshop and be like, all right, I'm gonna just look around, just go for a little browse. I'm not looking to buy anything, but if there is a book that kind of catches my eye, I might pick it up. I might read the blurb. I might mull it over. Is this the type of book that I want to read? And then if it's not, I'll put it back down. And if it is, then maybe I'll pick it up and I'll carry it around the bookshop as I continue to peruse and browse the rest of the books. And again, on a browsing visit, you're not going to buy a book. You're just looking to see what books are around. And I tend to go to a bookshop maybe at least once a week. And I mean, it really feels like it's kind of a problem, but like a nice problem. Like, it's a book. Like, what's the worst that can happen? I can learn something. But anyway, the other type of book visit you go is you go into the bookshop for a purpose. I'm here to buy a book. Maybe the book is for yourself. Maybe the book is for someone else. But there's a purpose of the entry of the bookshop. But most times for me, I'm currently reading a book and I go into the bookshop to have a look around. Never to buy, but I always end up leaving the bookshop with more books than I planned to buy in the first place. So, if you're new here, I'm Kory. I'm a poet, a musician, a creative person all round, and apparently someone who buys books when I don't actually need to buy books. I think that going into a bookshop when you're currently reading a book is kind of like going to the supermarket when you're hungry. You'll walk around the supermarket and you'll be like, oh, this snack looks appealing. I'll put that in the basket. Oh, I haven't had this snack in a while. Put that in the basket. You'll walk around the whole store picking up snacks and stuff that you might eat later, and biscuits and crisps and cakes. You get to the till, you'll pay for it. You'll go home. You'll actually have your dinner. And then after having your dinner, you'll be there like looking at the snacks like, oh, I don't even know if I can eat all those snacks, but you might have one or two snacks. Although the difference between going to the supermarket when you're hungry and going to a bookshop is those snacks will get eaten at some point. But a book, I mean, you might start reading it in January, the first book, finish reading it in February, and then you've got a whole stack of books that you're like, oh, well, I first bought this book, because I was going to read this after reading the current book that I'm reading, but then now I've got this whole library of books that I need to figure out what I'm going to be reading next. And I constantly have that issue, constantly. If you can already see, there's already a stack of 6 books here on the table with me. And these are all the books, or some of the books, that I have bought in the last couple of months, I'm going to say. So I'll start with the first book. So this first book is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by, I'm gonna butcher this name, Toshikazu Kawaguchi. And I'm literally, I would say like the second chapter into this book. And I actually picked up this book because, so I picked up this book because I was recommended it on a dating app. So on Bumble, they have this, the prompt feature where you can select one of your prompts. And one of my prompts is, what book would you recommend that everyone should read? And I think on one conversation, I got recommended this book, and the girl explained to me what the book was about, and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. So it just so happens when I was doing my weekly visit to the bookshop, I went into the bookshop, and that week or a couple of weeks after, or maybe a month after having that conversation, like I actually saw that book in the bookshop. And within that, while seeing this book, I saw that there was like 3 other books that was written by the same author, and it was maybe part of a collection. So within that one book recommendation, I got 4 books that I can potentially read. So that's absolutely amazing for me. But yeah, I'm absolutely really enjoying this book. What it's basically about is there's a cafe, and when you go to this cafe, it gives you the ability to go back in time, and you can speak to ghost versions of people who have previously visited that cafe. Maybe it's someone you visited the cafe with, it's a conversation you want to revisit, or someone you want to see again. But the only issue with this thing is that you can't change anything. So like, even if you go back into the past to have this conversation with the person, it won't change anything within the present. It's just maybe, I guess, for closure for you. Maybe there's things you wanted to test out to see if you had said something differently, or if you had done something differently, maybe the events maybe would have changed, or maybe you would have got the same result. The only catch with this is that you have to finish this conversation before your coffee gets cold. Otherwise, you turn into a ghost and you're trapped in that ghost world. So, I mean, there's other layers to this Before the Coffee Gets Cold story, but I mean, that's the basic premise. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. And I will tell you, 2 chapters in, like, yeah, I'm getting through this book faster than, yeah, this book's really interesting. I recommend it. Yeah. The next book that I'm going to talk about is this book that I think I bought this book here. What's it called? Katabasis. As I'm holding up the book cover to you guys, I'm reading the cover, the blurb, and it says, Katabasis is a noun, ancient Greek, and it means the story of a hero's descent to the underworld. And to be honest, I actually only picked up this book because I keep seeing this advert, the advert for this book everywhere on the underground, and that's where I usually do a lot of my reading. So I keep seeing this book, literally keep seeing this advert, this big, the cover, I just keep seeing this cover everywhere, and I was just like, every time I see the cover, I'm just like, I don't know what this book is about, but I want it. Like, I don't know what it's about. I don't know, like, I've read the cover since then. I haven't fully engulfed in it. Like at the time when I read it, I was like, I'll read it with you quickly because it's pretty short. It says, Alice Law wants to become the brightest mind in the field of magic, but only her PhD advisor can make her dream come true. Sadly, he is dead and in hell. So she and Peter Murdoch, her greatest academic rival, are going after him. But if they're going to get him and themselves out alive, she and Peter will have to work together. They'll either triumph or damn each other. Yeah, kind of sounds like an interesting story of like kind of two polar opposites working together for a common goal, which basically sounds like life. You know, you may be working, that's basically life, you know, you work with someone that you may not agree with, but you have to work with them because you work with them, you know, and you're working towards ultimately a common goal. So teamwork makes the dream work, or maybe the dream doesn't work. But yeah, either way, I saw in the cover of it and I was like, I need to see what this story is about, because it intrigues me. The stairs, yeah, it intrigues me even more after reading the blurb. Like this battle between achieving your goals or your dreams or losing it because the person you have to work with is your rival. But even your rival can understand that you're fighting for the same ultimate, like you're fighting for the same dream. So yeah, I'm just intrigued to see where that story takes me and what it's all about, really. The next book that I have is Cuddy by Benjamin Myers. And the reason why I picked up this book, it was more to do with the blurb. On the back it says, the first line says, this symbiosis of poetry and story, of knowledge and deep love, marks out Cuddy as a singular and significant achievement. Oh, that's the review from The Guardian. Sorry. Yeah, but it was the review from The Guardian that sold this book to me. And then I read the blurb, the rest of it, where it says how it all begins and ends with a vision. A cathedral on a hill. And yeah, just all the kind of the reviews of this book and the blurb itself, kind of the fact that it says here in the blurb that it's a novel like no other, incorporating poetry, prose, play, diary, and real historical accounts. It whirls through time, illuminating the dreams, desires, connections, and communities of working people across centuries. And yeah, man, that just sounds beautiful, especially for me as a poet, a writer, yeah. And kind of like I've been like working on my own, like writing my own book and writing a few short stories myself. So like I have also an idea for a book where it's kind of mixing poetry and prose. So seeing how Benjamin Myers does it in Cuddy is kind of really exciting for me, because I'm like, oh, it's already been done before. One, how does he do it? Is he going to do it in the same way that I might do it? Or like, is he going to give me some ideas of how I might do it, like connected to, yeah, it's just all exciting to me. So that's the reason why I picked up Cuddy. And I think I might end up reading Cuddy next if I don't read Katabasis. So the next book I have is Walking in the Woods by Professor I'm gonna butcher this name, I do apologize. Yoshifumi Miyazaki. And it also says on the front cover, go back to nature with the Japanese way of Shinrin-yoku, sorry. So the main reason why I picked up this book, or why it kind of caught my eye to begin with, is like the fact that I love nature and I love walking around. So the fact that this book was called Walking in the Woods, and that's like one of my favorite things to do, I was like, well, wow, it's kind of a sign. So I picked up this book, I read the back, and it sounds kind of like really atmospheric, kind of like a different way of walking and experiencing nature, which I'm kind of intrigued to read. I really want to be in nature when I read this book, to be honest. And yeah, another thing you might notice on the cover, I don't know if it's on any of the other books that I have covered in here, this video so far, but like I still got the price tag here on this book, and the reason why is because like if I haven't actually read the book yet, then there's no reason for me to peel the price off because it's still new. And when I actually get to reading it, then I'll be like, oh, I need to take the price off. If I remember to take the price off, to be honest, I think I only take the price off because like I might be out and about reading a book, and it's kind of weird to have to be out and about reading a book and still have the price on. It's kind of like, what was that craze back in the day with like New Era caps and still having the tag on it or something like that, and it was meant to be cool or something. I know I did it when I was in secondary school. I was cool when I did it, maybe. But yeah, it's kind of like that. Or like it's not like I'm keeping the price on it because I'm thinking about returning this book. I bought it, now it's mine. So yeah, that's Walking in the Woods. This next book is Don't Burn Anyone at the Stake Today by Naomi Alderman. And I bought this book because when I was reading the back of it, it just sounded really interesting. It was talking about like, I'm just taking a random section from the blurb, and it says, the internet has flooded us with more knowledge, opinions, ideas, opportunities, as well as verbal attacks, misinformation than ever before. It lets us learn more quickly and also spreads falsehoods more quickly. It brings us together and also divides us in countless new ways. There is no going back, but we have been here before. In fact, this is humanity's third information crisis. And when I read that, I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting. I feel like this could inspire some poetry, or like just maybe some short stories, or maybe even a book, like, or a collection of poems. But it just seemed like a really interesting kind of take on how information is connecting and what's the word that I'm looking for? Connecting and separating us all at the same time. And I like that oxymoron, and I was like, oh, so yeah, I bought this book, check it out if you're interested. Yeah. Which brings me on to my final book for this video. Well, the final book that I'm gonna share with you. So this book is called Vanishing Worlds by Sayaka Murata. And again, it's because I read the blurb and it sounds absolutely phenomenal. Like, it's, I'll read it quickly. It's like, times change, what's normal also changes. Amani, or Amain, is not like everyone else. While her school friends were all conceived the normal way, by artificial insemination, Amain's parents committed the taboo act of procreation. She does her best to fit in, but Amain still wonders what sex and marriage are for. And so when she hears about Paradise Eden, where the family unit does not exist and children are raised collectively, she hopes that moving there will keep her unnatural urges in check. But is this bold experiment the brave new world Amain desires, or will it push her further, push her to the breaking point? And I was just like, oh, that sounds really, really interesting. And also the cover art is kind of pretty cool. It's kind of lucid. There's like a New York Times review that says, it's like The Handmaid's Tale on acid. And I haven't read The Handmaid's Tale or watched the series of The Handmaid's Tale, but I know what the concept is, or what it's about, from talking to a few people. So I was just like, oh, I mean, yeah, this sounds super interesting, and I can't wait to read it whenever whenever I get to it from the stack of books that I've already presented. And like I said, this is just a few of the books that I've read recently. Gotta love water. And here is my final book. I know I said the last book was my final book, but this is actually my final book. So I got all these books from the Brunswick Bookshop, which is round the corner from where I work. And it's an absolutely amazing independent bookshop. And they do this thing called blind date with a book. And this is their new edition of it. They're doing blind date with a book, the romance edition. And because I've bought like a blind date with a book before, opened it, because basically what you do is, or what you get is, you get like kind of 1, 2, 3, usually 4 prompts which tell you a little bit about what the book might be about. Not what it might be about, what it is about. And then kind of when you unwrap it, you find out what the book actually is. And I've been meaning to unwrap this, and I just haven't yet. So I thought I'd just do it in this video. So the prompt on front of this says, spreadsheets and seduction, lines get crossed, can't hide desire, smoldering. And it has 4 chili peppers on it, so it's spicy, this book. Whether that means what kind of spice, I don't know, man. This is my first book blind date, a book blind date with a book, romance edition. Like, so we're gonna find out together. I'm just gonna, you can see like what I mean. It's kind of like, yeah. So it has like, let me do this part first. Ah. Right. So as you can see on the front, you got like these 4 prompts that tell you what the book is about, and then the spice level. So let's open this and find out what this book is. Okay, so this book is, it's called Not Safe for Work by Nisha J. Tuli. It's got this review on the front that says tense, feisty, funny and steamy. And the tagline on Not Safe for Work says, work was easier when he was still her nemesis. See, this is connected to, in a way, Not Safe for Work is kind of similar to Katabasis, yeah. Because, like, you know, what's her name? Alice Law has to work with her nemesis so that she can achieve her dream. And Not Safe for Work is saying work was easier when he was her nemesis. I mean, what can I think I read, there was another book that I read like this. The Wake Up Call. I think it was called The Wake Up Call, and it's about this guy, it was set in the UK, this girl, I can't remember, they worked at this hotel, one of them was Brazilian. I think it's called The Wake Up Call. Dope book, I got it upstairs, but I recommend that book. I think it's called The Wake Up Call. But yeah, Not Safe for Work, excited to read, find out what this is all about. I will flip over the bag so you can see the blurb, you can pause it, you can read it, zoom in and all that good stuff. But yeah, I'm intrigued to read this Not Safe for Work book, but I think this is a home read. I don't think I can be on the bus or the train just reading Not Safe for Work. People looking at the cover like, what's he reading, like 50 Shades of Grey? But yeah, that's my video. I'm not sure how long I've been talking for. Hope you've enjoyed it. And yeah, there'll be more videos about books and creativity and poetry and music and all the things, all the creative good stuff. But I'm not sure how to end this video, but yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe you'll join me again for another one of these videos. Until then, see you soon. Bye.